If you're hung up on the idea that, gosh, I'm not a big dynamic video person, you can be dynamic, but really the only thing you need to be is relatable. You don't have to be a big personality to do this. And so all the stuff we're about to share with you is going to get you more attention. And attention isn't about being an online celebrity or an influencer or an Instagrammer or a paid YouTuber or any of that stuff. This is just about being who you are, because when people say yes, they're saying yes to who you are.
Yeah, and some of my favorite people that do video aren't big and boisterous. They're quiet, and they have an element of humbleness to them and truth, and they speak softly, and that's what makes you connect with that particular person. So yeah, any type of personality works great in video. Put your best foot forward. That's what we're going to teach you how to do. So what are we going to go over today?
We're going to go through, we had a lot to share. By the way, you might be tempted in the next couple minutes to get out a notepad or get out your little stylus on your iPad or something.
We have our notepad right here.
Correct. You don't need to write anything down. We've produced an outline for everything we're about to teach you, and it's available absolutely free right here on the page. It's the bonus material for this video. So just drop in your email address. It'll come to you. If you want to pause this video and go get it and follow along, you can do that. Or if you want to get it later and follow along, just as a reminder, you can do that too. But if you're super worried about all the level of detail in this video, we go through how to get your emails opened, how to get your videos played, how does the animated preview that BombBomb generates contribute to the video play, how does the text that you write above or below the video contribute to getting the video played. That's what we're going to be talking about here, because you might have this temptation to think that, gosh, I recorded this video, someone's going to inherently play it. It's sometimes true, because video's still new.
Magic. It's going to work automatically.
And it does a little bit right now because there aren't a ton of people doing it. Our guesstimate in the world is that there are fewer than 500,000 people doing this simple personal style of video regularly through email and texting and social messaging.
And even less people doing it well.
Right. So we want to help you do it well, because we have a decade of experience learning ourselves from you, our customers, and people in our community. From teaching it, you learn a lot by teaching, and of course we're practitioners as well. So that's what we're unpacking here, is how to get more engagement and more views of your videos in emails.
So let's get to it. We're going to use the whiteboard today. We're actually not going to play any videos. This one's going to be packed, as Ethan mentioned. It's going to be hard to jot everything down. Don't worry about that. Download the guide, and let's get started first with quality messaging. If you want to get the right attention and the attention that you deserve first, it sounds basic, but you need to have a quality message. And we have a simple 3-part framework to run your message through, where you can ask yourself, does it meet any of these needs? And if it does, you're good to go to move on to part 2, which is getting the attention. And we have a 4-part framework. We like frameworks. It makes it easy to run something through, and it's check, 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 check. Great, I'm ready to go. This is going to work. This is going to be impactful. So let's start with quality messaging. So every email you send trains someone whether or not to open your next email. So again, before we get to all the unique ways that you can get your message attention, we need to make sure that we have a quality message, because you're actually going to do yourself a disservice if they open that up and they realize it's self-serving. And so we developed a simple 3-part framework to decide whether or not you're providing value to that recipient. And Ethan's very neat handwriting, looking good up here.
Borderline.
Multicolored. You can see that there's 3 components to a quality message: personal, problem, or entertaining. So when you read your message, as you're reaching out to your prospects, as you're reaching out to your clients, first, you want to ask yourself, am I reaching out for a personal reason? Are you congratulating them on something that happened maybe in their career or with their family? Are you reaching out for a happy birthday message or an anniversary or any type of personal element that is about them? Very few times will you receive a message that, if I were to email Ethan and say, hey, Ethan, congratulations, Ethan's going to be like, I don't want to hear what he's congratulating me on.
False.
Yeah, I don't need that extra lift in my day.
Yeah.
So that is a great message to send, as long as it's personalized and it's going out to Ethan or whomever you're sending it to. this is a great first measure to run it through.
Thank you is the easiest and a really good one in that category.
Gratitude is my favorite. We know a lot of people that will send 2 to 3 gratitude messages every morning, starts their day off right. We actually did a training class on that before, so thank you for reminding me of that one.
Okay.
So the first one is personal. The second one, if it's not a personal correspondence, you can still have a quality message if you are solving a problem for someone or helping them out with much needed information. I read something last night that I thought was really interesting from our friends over at StoryBrand, and they said that your product is medicine to someone's problem. And so if you're selling a product, if you're selling a service, what problem does it solve? And if you're reaching out and you're helping them with their day and overcome something, yes, that is a great message that you should be sending out via email or even through other channels too.
Yeah, quick note on question, whether it's a direct inquiry from someone you don't know, so you're not really prepared to do something highly personal, you can answer any questions coming in from a customer or a prospect. Great way to answer a question because you do start getting personal. We'll learn a lot more in video 3 in the series about that. But then the other way to think about questions too is frequently asked questions. If you have someone that's in transition from one stage in their relationship to another, you know what questions they have because other people have been through that process. So you can preemptively answer questions with a video that you record in advance of someone even transitioning. So a new employee joins your company. What questions do they have? A prospect finally signs a contract with you. What questions do they have? These are ways where even if you aren't deep enough to be personal and social with them, you can still be of value here by solving a problem, answering a question, or providing some information.
Value.
There you go.
Just erase that. Value right there. And finally, if it's not a personal message, you're not providing value, solving a problem, it better darn be entertaining if you're reaching out to someone. Now, I don't default to this one because I'm not very entertaining. I default to the first 2, personal messages and value. But
this is a trap a lot of people fall into. They think my video needs to be highly entertaining. I need to be, again, a dynamic personality, or I need to have high production value in order for anyone to watch my video. It's a trap. Don't fall into it. These are often much more satisfying for your recipient as well as for you than this is. If you can do this well and you're doing it already, keep doing it.
Yep.
But don't think that you have to qualify these as entertaining as well.
Absolutely. And sometimes it falls into personal and problem solving at the same time, or entertaining sometimes. But as long as you have one out of these 3, then you know that you have a quality message and you're ready to move on to phase 2, which is the 4-part framework for getting attention.
Let's clean up the board. So if you ask Google, give me some subject line tips. I actually asked like I was asking Alexa. You're going to get a million of them, but it really comes down to 2 simple things.
Personal and curious. And we kind of talked about personal in having a quality message, and you want to continue that in your subject line, because someone's goal when they go into their email inbox isn't to, oh my God, I want to read every single email and figure out what's going on there. Their goal is
to delete as much as possible.
As much as possible, and to make it as easy as possible. And personal emails make it to the top. We need to convey that it's personal in the subject line, and it's not an automated robot that's blasting 1,000 other people that same exact message.
Right. So a note on personal is, if this is just for one person, they need to know right off the subject line that this is just for them. This could mean, of course, using their name, but that's not enough because machines can shoot names in. What is the nature of their inquiry? What's the detail in there? If it's truly personal, make sure it's super, super clear in the subject line that it's just for that one person. Now, if you're sending it to a group of people, it's a little bit more difficult to be truly, truly personal, but think about who's in this list, why am I sending this email, and how personal can I make it feel? Again, going back to the frequently asked questions in the previous section, if they're transitioning from one stage to another, you know, hey, now that you are ready for X, those kinds of things. So make it personal, or number 2, make it
curious.
This is an either or again. Like it should fall into one of these 2 general categories.
But it can be both.
Right.
It can be both. And we'll go through
you got a good example of that.
That example.
One that you made up yourself. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. Consumer psychology is driven by what people don't know, the curiosity gap. If you walk by a puzzle and there's a missing piece everyone always wants to put in that piece that's sitting right there. We need to have completeness or wholeness in our mind. And if we don't know something, we gravitate towards figuring that out. That's what drove us forward as a species. It's probably getting too deep for this particular example.
It's important to keep in mind.
But
context.
What are some great examples of the curiosity gap?
So the curiosity gap is the mental gap that exists between what I know right now and what I need or want to know. And so a couple ways to get at it is to start a story or an idea in the subject line. ...
And
continue it inside the email. Another way is to go completely against what someone is expecting, right? So this is about disrupting patterns in a way. We'll talk a little bit more about that with the animated preview, but our brains have shortcuts in them. We're highly efficient. We make decisions very quickly. We make tens of thousands of decisions a day that we're not conscious of. And so the curiosity factor here is going against what someone might expect to hear, triggers that and provokes some curiosity. It creates this gap between, I thought I knew this, but you're telling me that. I want to close that gap.
Yeah, and we'll have some examples in the downloadable guide.
Well, again, we'll have all this that we're erasing and writing up. It's all available, so don't worry about trying to follow along specifically by hand.
Yeah, and we're going through a lot of this, and you're not going to do everything at once. You're going to use different parts of this framework for different messages. And so we wanted to make sure we were as quick as possible getting through it here on the screen, and then you could download and check it out. But it's all about pattern disrupt, whether it's in the animated preview, which we're going to get to in a second, or just being curious. One of my favorite subject lines, that we came up with is Darren versus Darren versus Darren, or Ethan versus Ethan versus Ethan. And that can be used for a mass mailing, but there's a disrupt there. It's your name 3 times in a subject line, and it's something that people haven't seen before. So people are curious, what in the world does that mean? It's a pattern disrupt. It's in the subject line. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to use something similar like that, but
Well, for context, what does it mean?
It means that you're battling with other people that have the same name, and you don't want to be an anonymous block of text. You want to be the best Darren, the personal Darren, the best Ethan, the best Steve, etc. So yeah, it's all about using video. Let's get to 2 animated previews and thumbnails. And Ethan, I'm just gonna delete thumbnail right off of that. Because yes, BombBomb allows you to do animated previews and thumbnails, but you want to use the animated preview. How do you do that? Well, you do absolutely nothing. We put the thumbnail up there because if you're not using BombBomb, there's other systems that will do a thumbnail for you. I guarantee you it is not as effective as having motion and animation. It's a part of that pattern disrupt that we're going to see in our messaging, because when someone sees an animated video and they see a whiteboard up there and they see something that they're not used to seeing, movement, animation. Some of our best videos are on an escalator when we're at a trade show or at an event. It stands out.
Being outside with things moving behind you. Again, the whiteboard trick is just writing a personal message again here to reinforce the subject line. You write it down on a little whiteboard. In fact, I have mine over here. It's just this little whiteboard, and I'll write things down. I always keep this at hand, so people know that the video is for them, and
that's like this.
That the animated preview is also just for them.
And that's like your subject line. It's like a second subject line, your whiteboard, which again, you want to go back to being personal or curious on your whiteboard within the animated preview. But just do something unexpected as well when you're reaching out, whether you're sending to many or you're sending to one, you can follow the same framework. So these are the first 2 parts.
I just want to go maximum clarity on this. When you upload a video into BombBomb or when you live record a video into BombBomb, we automatically take the first 3 seconds of your video, produce this animated preview. When you click send, Steve said, you don't have to do anything at all. We turn it into a little animation. And in our studies, as we were just trying to decide if this is the right thing to make the default, it produced a 48.9% increase in video plays.
Yeah.
So it is more effective.
All right, let's get to the last 2 parts of the 4-part framework. So you're sending a video. Can I get away without having supporting text?
No, you can't.
Thank you for that, Ethan.
Yeah.
But the answer is absolutely not, and for a number of reasons. Not only because the way that email is going to be displayed on someone's screen, but also the goal and really the role of the supporting text is to
drive the video play.
So we have a number of steps here that will help you with your supporting text. Do you need to type the same amount of text that you would type if you were going to be doing a text-based email?
Absolutely not. This supporting text, we call it supporting because it should be complementary complementary to, not redundant to the video. This is a common mistake we see, either sending with no text at all or sending with text that basically says the exact same thing the video does.
Yeah.
These two should work together. They should be unique, complementary experiences, not redundant. I shouldn't read your text and then click play and then go like, oh, I just read that.
Why did I do that? Because again, every email, every message you send trains someone whether or not to do it. And if they watched your video and it wasted their time because it provided no extra value and they could have got it in the text, then they're not going to watch your video the next time. So what can we do? So if you want someone to do something, list out the mundane steps. We're doing that as a courtesy or as a service to them, because if someone is listening to your video and you're saying, here are the 5 things that you need to do, it's easier for them to read that and to help them remember that. What you want to add in the video, if you're going to list out the steps for them to do in the text, the video is where you want to add the emotive part of your message and connect with them and bring your passion and your energy, hopefully like we're doing right now, in this video.
I'm excited about this material.
With our download.
Right.
So
yeah, so that's what we did here. So instead of requiring you, now this is different because we're doing a 15, 18, 20-minute training video. But if you're doing a 90-second video, don't make someone follow along and write down the 3 important things or the 8 important things. Go ahead and type those bullet points down below. And for context, they need to watch the video to learn a little bit more about them. But it's a courtesy again. So A, they can follow along and get a sense of progress through the video. And B, so that they don't have to write it down.
Curiosity gap, we covered that numerous times in all of these other segments. List the steps down there and maybe leave the 3rd step off and say, watch the video to get the last component of the message, or watch the video to hear why you should do this. There's the curiosity gap drives that video play.
Ask a leading question, or again, start a statement, and then, for the rest of the story, play the video.
Yep, and then I want to show you, this is, we talked about screen recording in the first video. And what's so great about screen recording is you can show someone something much easier than maybe just recording yourself or trying to hold something up while in the camera. Just show it to them on the screen. And at the end say, hey, please watch the video so you can see step by step, or so I can show you what your home is worth on the market if you're a real estate agent, or I can show you what our product does and how it's going to help you. So these are just some ideas. There's a bunch more that you can use, but we just wanted to jog your brain a bit and let you know how supporting text works. One final note on supporting text, though.
It was a good one.
Supporting text is very important because the way Gmail and some other email clients display your emails. The optimal way to send a video is to have a bit of text above and a bit of text below your video. Why? Because when you put the text above, when your email comes through on the preview screen in someone's email inbox, they're going to see that text there. If you do not put the text above, it'll say play my video, which is okay, and you might want to do that. And I always don't put text above either. It depends on the situation. Text below is extremely important. This is something that you never want to forget. Why? Because if you don't put any text below your video, most email systems, especially, not most, some email systems, but Gmail, which is a big one, will actually take your message and it will cut off that video and it will leave it with the ... It thinks it's a part of your email signature. So it is so important to put some type of text below because it won't truncate your email message and they're going to be able to see your video. Highly important. If you don't take away anything else from this video here today, then you want to take that away, because if your video is not seen, then you're not going to be heard, you're not going to be felt, and you're sure as heck not going to be understood.
There you go. So let's talk about the first 10 seconds of the video really quickly. This is the 4th part of the 4-part framework, and it's the introduction to your video. How you start your video affects whether or not someone's going to make it to the end of your video. Talk about that.
Yeah, and so you want to think of this as like a presentation, because when a presenter gets on stage, they tell people what they're about to tell them, then they tell them, and then they recap with a CTA. It is the same concept. And you want to let people know directly in the first 10 seconds of your video, hey, you're getting this because... And here, I'm going to share 3 things with you. Again, we're using those numbers. It keeps people engaged. People need to complete things. And so it's important in those first 10 seconds to tell them why they're getting the message, and then how long... Should turn off my sound on my computer. And then how long it's going to take them to view that message. Now, we help out because we put a little timer on the bottom.
Yep.
And we let people know if it's 50 seconds or 1 minute. But people love numbers. And something I like to do is do that in the first 10 seconds and say, hey, I want to go over 3 quick things for you in this message. And I get through one. I make sure one is so
Quick.
fast.
Yeah.
So then they feel like this message is moving fast and it's effective.
Sense of progress.
All right, so we lied when we said that these videos are going to be 20 minutes, but there's so much good content in here, and we want to make sure...
Like 22 minutes.
It'll be a little bit longer. But you're probably thinking right now, after watching all of this, come on, Ethan, come on, Steve, this is ridiculous. I really need to go through all of these steps. This seems hard or maybe even difficult. Do I really have to do it?
So this is going to become a habit for you. Grab the download. It's the bonus material right here next to the video somewhere. And this is just something to be mindful of. There are a couple things here. One, you're sending emails and other messages and videos for a particular reason. If you could do a couple things and they could become very natural to you, wouldn't you do those if you knew that you would get better results? Of course you would. And then 2, most people are not mindful of any of this. So if you only check 1 or 2 of these boxes and you get comfortable thinking about 1 or 2 of the various aspects we gave you, you're going to be in a much better position in a crowded inbox.
Quality messaging will affect your business for the rest of your career. So by doing this on a consistent basis, it'll become second nature, as Ethan mentioned, and you will be a much better communicator, which will help you in the long run. So get that bonus material.